gets it because CDC likes playing it a lot, and we know RTK does. That's pretty much his go-to. His
A battle of the
trademark.
clockworks.
Yeah, I could
would
very
that
well
work?
see that happen.
Ducks there as well.
Okay.
I mean, both teams.
It's
10
it's
seconds
a
remaining.
battle of who gets the clockwork or the darks. Yeah,
Right.
darks is another one. Yeah.
I think no one gets
5
Ducks here,
seconds
but
remaining.
I would like to see it.
No one gets Undying, no one gets Tusk.
Turn to ban.
Tusk still 100%.
Yep.
Do you think it's going to stay
Nope.
No.
the entirety of that?
I'm just waiting for that moment where Jacob says, oh, it could be this game. No, it won't be this game. And then it is that game. Yeah. Because it's already caught him out once. It was 5th pick in
10 seconds
game 2, I
remaining.
think. Yeah.
10th pick, technically.
Actually, yeah.
Technically it was 10th pick.
They picked it just to spite you, and then they won.
I think they overheard him.
I think so.
Yeah. It's exactly what they did.
LGD.
I agree with the banning of maybe Shadow Fiend. Very likely.
Build on it. The rushing shadow
Yeah,
blade.
there's been a lot of that lately, but you can get kills with it and things like that. Obviously, it's not good for HP or survivability in some ways.
Well, the difference being, I like it in pub games. Don't get me wrong. Like that's if I had to play it in a public game, I would go Shadowblade anytime. But at this level, and it showed obvious weaknesses as well.
Whoa,
That's a
what?
first pick Spirit Breaker.
First pick
LGD
Spirit Breaker, that's a
turn
first
to pick.
for the
So
tournament.
these are two
far.
Chinese teams. They don't like playing Slaughter.
Nope.
China just doesn't embrace Slaughter
And it
whatsoever.
wasn't banned out, and I doubt it'll be picked either.
Slaughter has 65% win rate on the 20 games he's been played, as of this morning, at least before the matches started. So I see some value in Spirit Breaker. Obviously, you can do a combo with Darkseer and things like that, but it seems crazy that they leave this
Makes you
away.
wonder, is there something disrespectful about fish in Chinese
10
culture?
seconds remaining.
I think it's the other way around.
That's also where my
Yeah,
mind.
they also don't pick Slark or
5
Naga.
seconds remaining.
That's very... No.
Reserve
No,
time.
I'm expecting a Darkseer here. It's got to be. Yeah, there we go. So that's one of RTK's absolute best
turn
picks.
to pick.
And counters the Spirit Breaker pick.
Pretty good.
Would they go for Winter Wyvern? I like the Queen of Pain a lot, especially because we know that it's outside of the Lina, it's Shiki's second most successful hero. A mid player who's already rumored or known to be limited in his hero pool.
10 seconds remaining.
They picked a lot of Dazzle as well,
5
LGD that
seconds
is,
remaining.
in their games
Okay.
earlier this week.
CDEC. Turn to pick.
A lot of everything. I mean, they have such experienced players. They've been playing since longer than TI1 type players. They can play almost any hero.
Yeah.
So it really just comes down to what do they think is going to fit in their draft the best.
Should have probably seen the Gyrocopter pick coming, actually, considering aggressive on CDC's lineup.
You could also play the Queen of Pain, though, for CDC now. So it's what we talked about with Siler and maybe for LGD. There's that one hero overlap for CDC, which is the Queen of Pain, that both Shiki and aggressive play. I think apart from that, everything else, there we go. Because now they keep their options open, right? Now LGD doesn't exactly know what's going to happen with this. So if they counterpick it really hard mid, CDC can just be like, nice, we safe lane our aggressive Queen of Pain instead then. I'd like to see some Earthshaker too.
10 seconds
For
remaining.
LGG?
For either team. I think Q plays a really good one. I don't know if they would pick it together with Breaker though. It's not because it's an amazing pick here. I just feel like it's overlooked
Reserve time.
Yeah.
in a lot of the games.
I was talking about how CDC's limited strategic depth is a weakness, but at the same time, you gotta admire how great they are at getting these heroes and making them work together every single time. They always land on these comfortable picks where they know just how to play it and how to execute it. They know the timings. They know how to work well together.
I feel like the only pick that I see a lot of connection with, because
10
frankly both of the
seconds
drafts have
remaining.
so many options, is maybe a Dazzle for LGD, since CDC currently has a lot of burst damage to the Spirit Breaker and the Claw.
Turn to ban.
Ban the AA, pick Dazzle for LGD. That's my guess.
Yeah, I like the Dazzle pick for LGD a lot as well. It's great against Spirit Breaker. He always makes it very clear who the target is, so you can prepare mentally
10
for the grave
seconds
before it's even needed.
Do you think LGD should ban out the Ember Spirit?
5 seconds remaining.
I think it's too early, unless the heroes they're going to pick are countered by an
Reserve
Ember.
time.
I think the thing LGD will be a little worried about if they go for an Ember pick is that he could then be okay, never mind. He
Don't
could
they
be
want
facing
Ember?
a Queen of Pain.
LGD.
LGD?
turn
They want
to
the Ember,
ban.
technically, because it's good against Queen of Pain.
But does Siler play Ember? It's only maybe, right?
Yeah, but they've got gyro
They got
already.
gyro
so,
already.
I mean,
Yeah, because then they have to put the Ember mid, and then you're playing against Queen of Pain. That's not a good lane.
10
So then they
seconds
might have been
remaining.
considering that. But
this maybe
it's out anyway.
maybe never go safe lane.
5
Oh, so you would have put the
seconds
gyro mid against Queen? I don't think that's good either.
No, I'm saying does maybe ever go safe lane with Ember, for example,
remaining.
and then put
Reserve time.
Sylar mid. I guess we don't ever really see that. It's pretty
It's
consistent
pretty rare,
lanes.
at least. Yeah, I still think it's a Dazzle for LGD. It's the pick. It's more about what they want to ban if they're scared of the AA. CDEC do play it, I believe.
So what does CDEC pick now that they've lost their other support forward? Something strong at laning at least.
Rubik.
They're very low damage early game. I feel like their pre-6 would be too weak with a Rubik.
Oh, they ban the Dazzle and take the Wyvern. Okay, that's another way of doing it.
CDEX.
Yeah, it was
turn
Better
to
synergy with Darkseer, I guess. This is very similar. It's actually 3 of the heroes that EG had in Game 2 against Vega, which EG did lose, but it did show what it can do, at least.
So are we expecting a maybe invoke?
We could see that, I think. The difference is this time around CDEC will obviously have very different picks than what Vega did. So we could see the lineup from LGD being way more powerful than it was for EG if they draft into it. And CDEC is a team that loves going 5-man and fighting together. And this is a lineup that's very difficult to fight into. So maybe they get a little bit out of their comfort zone here.
This draft is still just so open right now. Their next pick is really going to decide things. Right now, I mean, LGD has such good defensive heroes and they don't have the best counter. And it also limits what cores they can pick. They can't just throw out something like a TA to counter Gyrocopter. They could pick AM here. Maybe it's a little early for that, but AM currently is pretty darn good against
He
LGD's.
is really good here. It's true.
But do they pick it now or do they wait a second?
That
They
being said,
already-
for offlaners, there's a high risk of the Clockwork being banned out as the last ban from LGD as well. So if they do want that,
They can also run Breaker as an offlaner.
true.
They could also run Bounty, which is something CDEC has still drafted even after it's fallen out of favor. They have played as an offlaner in the past.
Even LGD has played the bounty.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. They actually played it 2 days ago. There's a Shaker. Woo! Nice. I like this hero.
LGD's turn
Did you
to
just
pick.
applaud yourself?
No, I didn't applaud. I did, you know.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
He doesn't clap like you do, Jacob.
Jacob, that's just you.
Okay, so I feel like neither of these lineups particularly counter each other yet. Seems peculiar to me, because a lot of the other drafts, the teams completely draft around having
10
good cores
seconds
against
remaining.
good cores and supports that counter the cores, but thus far, like CDC still
5
hasn't really
seconds
revealed that
remaining.
much with the Earthshaker pick.
This is really just CDC's cookie cutter lineup that sort of works
Reserve
well
time.
against everything. You know, it's a Spirit Breaker. It's probably gonna be pretty good against everything. An Earthshaker leaves everything open, and Queen of Pain as well. As long as there's no hard silences and disables on the enemy lineup, Queen of Pain is just always a great hero to have.
Well, they have one now with Wind Ranger. Kind of reminds me of the lineup that was picked versus EG just a moment ago.
I'm just thinking about classic CDEC heroes for aggressive.
You have to start worrying about the lack of disable on LGD's side of things.
Look at
10
Lina.
seconds remaining.
They could get a Lina and then they play Lina Quap as their 2 cores. I think that's
5 seconds
questionable.
remaining.
I'm thinking Phantom Lancer. It's not that great though, but like Jacob pointed out, there's not that much disable,
Reserve
so
time.
he can maybe be very evasive in the fights and just farm up.
Wouldn't they anti-mates instead?
Does aggressive play that? I think it's a better pick. I just don't think CDC play an anti-mage, do they? Which is very unusual. Like if you look historically at Dota 2, anti-mage has been a Chinese staple for like almost every single team.
10
Always been
seconds
prioritized.
remaining.
Okay, there's.
Okay, so there's the Visage that they picked a lot in the group stage, got tons of kills with it. It's not amazing at zoning Darkseer is one downside, so no hard disable. If he surges, he gets away. But in the early to mid game, he'll be pretty darn strong. You know, you can nuke through Winter Wyvern, Cold Embrace, you can target
10
down
seconds
Gyrocopter. He
remaining.
won't be able to solo kill Wind Ranger, but those other heroes might have to be a little bit worried about an overleveled
5
Visage.
seconds
So
remaining.
the draft's coming together decently.
Do you think it's an offlane shaker or
Reserve
breaker?
time.
I think it's a shaker.
Okay.
ROTK did have some Earthshaker offlane games. previously played, at least in this group stage.
But it's the other team that has it.
You're completely right.
I'm mainly thinking about which one they think is most valuable for winning mid and safe lane, because I think the Breaker is better for winning the mid against the Windranger in a lot of situations, but the Shaker is better at shutting down Darkseer. Like you pointed out, Visage doesn't keep him away that well, but a good Fissure ruins Darkseer's escape on the safe lane or in the off lane.
That's a good point.
10
sure.
seconds remaining.
There's value for both. I guess if
5
Earthshaker's
seconds
roaming,
remaining.
I mean, either way, the other support can come, right? Like, you could have an Earthshaker roam to mid and do a Fissure, and Spiritbreaker could charge from the safe lane, or you could have Spiritbreaker charge from the off lane, and Earthshaker rotate over. I think either way, you're still fine for the mid rotations. It just comes down to the laning. So I guess it would make more sense to put, like you said, Earthshaker as a support to zone to help threaten the Darkseer, basically. With Earthshaker and 1, I think it'd be a lot safer versus Darkseer as well, because SB had to have to get a melee range to do anything.
Breaker also has a very easy time getting away from Gyro Wyvern. You can always just charge when they engage on him. Shaker doesn't have the same luxury.
Good point.
But the
And-
secondary support pick could stop that, of course.
Garda is the Visage player,
Reserve
right?
time.
Or is that Q?
I think they both play it, mainly Q, the way I remember it. But if they have a Shaker, I think it's mainly Q on that one. Curious to see what they do there. I think Rubik is actually pretty good for LGD. Some good steals here. Good against the Breaker offlane, good against Shaker offlane.
Yeah, I like it.
It leaves them a little bit susceptible in the early game, though. I think Wyvern Rubik is kind of greedy, or not greedy, but just weak
CDEC.
very
Turn to
early.
pick.
But come mid-game, it's going to be a great pick for LGD, so they could go for it.
Rob Sunderin. Can we get a clap out of Mel? Thank you. Now I know what
For
he's
the
doing.
Hull clap, too.
Wow, double and
the crowd
and the
claps.
crowd.
Woohoo!
I was like, oh, that was like a
That's almost as good as your Invoker call on day 1.
that was a shot in the dark, and it made me look smart.
Last pick Invoker made you look very
I'm
smart.
gonna own up to that
10
one.
seconds remaining.
Where are we going last pick then?
5 seconds remaining.
Need a hard carry, so Anti-Mage is less good now that Rubik has the stun, and he can still blink.
Reserve time.
So do we go back to the PL?
I mean, it wouldn't
5
surprise me by now that
seconds
the trolls would have that on lockdown as well.
Oh,
We get another clap.
2 out of 2 for Cinder and Rubik and Phantom Lancer in. Thank you very much, chaps. We'll head over to our commentary team for Game 1 of LGD versus CDEC.
Thank you very much, Paul. I'm live here with Merlini, getting ready to cast LGD versus CDEC. Best of 3 action, quarterfinal action here in the winner's bracket. Ben, in a lot of ways, this is kind of like big brother versus little brother. CDEC, they used to be kind of the farm team for LGD. The student became the master at TI5, and these teams have only played once in 6.85 as far as recorded games go. It was a BO1 at Nunyan, and LGD did get destroyed, but very little tape on them.
The farm team.
Not any
That's an
longer.
aggressive way to putting it. It's more like an academy.
Academy team. Well, there's so many of them now in China. You've got VG Gaming Potential, you've got Newbie Youth, you've got CDEC Youth. They've got a lot of these up-and-coming talented players who aren't very well known, but they're starting to make a name for themselves here. One of them, at least, Newbie Young, had a pretty good showing in the early moments of the group stage. So with that, we get underway. It is game number 1 of a best-of-3 winner. Will be able to move into the semifinals of the winner bracket. So looking at the draft, Ben, we had a lot of self-congratulations on the panel, but they didn't really assess the drafts. Do you think either team is a better one here?
I like LGD's a little bit more. They don't really have that much synergy with the Visage. They have had a lot of success with it, but a lot of the times we've seen Visage own is when they have amplified damage, just buffing up the damage of the birds. And Phantom Lancer is generally a little bit too slow for this particular style. After the recent nerfs, he just hasn't been as strong.
It does speak to something that was brought up on the panel, which is that CDEC, a bit of a limited hero pool in terms of they just don't want to pick other stuff. And you look at the win rate for Phantom Lancer since the nerfs, he's got like a 30-something% win rate, but it is an aggressive comfort hero, and they're going to stick with what's worked for them in the past. So with that, the teams will take a moment here. It looks like RTK needs to sort out his settings. So we'll see LGD getting aggressive. 5 heroes early on moving into this Radiant jungle. Pretty damn scary level 1 with the Darkseer, the Gyrocopter. A lot of damage from those two, and they are the frontliners for now.
Yeah, I think that LGD's lineup just has good solutions for everything that CDEC has. They have the Rubik to stop the Spirit Breaker's early game roaming and to cancel his charges later in the game. They have the team fight and the AoE to deal with a Phantom Lancer in the late game. And I would prefer LGD's late game heroes as well with their Wind Ranger and the Gyrocopter. So all in all, I think LGD's just has more strengths on their side.
And I guess that's where if you're CDEC, you're counting on your execution because that's how this team has had such good results. It's not necessarily outdrafting their opponents, but just picking lineups that are comfortable for them and so they can bring their A+ game instead of, maybe a B+ performance. So looks like the players are getting settled here, hopefully getting back underway in a moment. Looks like LGD early on, they do want to try and contest this Radiant jungle. Is this just to slow down the Visage and prevent his early levels?
Of course. And they have to secure the lane for the Darkseer. They're pretty confident that they can actually zone out the Earthshaker pretty early on. Earthshaker's generally just, fissure, chill back, so there's not that much you can do about that. So instead they look to make sure they have ROTK off to a good start. He's been very hit or miss this tournament. I've seen some amazing hook shots and some ones that haven't connected as much.
I think you've just described RTK's life story.
Yeah.
He's always hit or miss. He has the amazing plays, but then he has those games where he gets a little bit over-aggressive, gives up a bunch of kills.
Yeah, but there are players that are stabilized too, right? Like G from Virtus Pro, for example. I think he used to sometimes have games that he dies a lot, but not really so much anymore. Sumail too used to die a lot more, and he's stabilized so much. ROTK, I think, is one of the few players that still goes for the very high-risk plays.
Yeah, and that's where something I brought up on the panel during the group stages. I feel like he's the key to the team, not only because he's the leader, but because he's the one that has those very kind of pendulum swinging performances. One game carries the team, one game can even cost them the big team.
Sometimes they don't even need him. In that series versus Cloud9, they didn't.
I mean,
really
this draft definitely counts on the Darkseer, though. Like, you look at the combinations that they're looking for, that vacuum into a call down, into Winter's Curse. Yeah, you could hit a shackle shot, but you really want that big Darkseer performance to kind of glue it all together.
His Darkseer was so good at TI when he was on eHome.
Yeah, it really was. He felt so comfortable on that team. I will say he hasn't really seemed as comfortable in LGD, and not sure where that comes from, if it's just getting used to some of the new faces. He mentioned he wanted to reunite with old teammates, like, of course, DDC, MMY coming to mind, but...
Well, we never know the intricacies of a team, right? It could be ROTK plus, like, he might have to just do all the shot calling inside the entire game instead of maybe having some more assistance on eHome.
And you can tell just from his volume alone, his leadership style is totally different from Xiaowait's. The guy is very animated, very passionate. Xiaowait, you don't hear that kind of just yelling and intensity. Not to say that he's not taking his job seriously, but he definitely brings a more calm approach to the team dynamic. Oh, the teams look very calm now. Just relaxing, waiting for the game to get underway. Who do you favor in the series?
It's pretty tight. I would say LGD just because they've shown a little bit more versatility, as some of the panelists said. CDEC, they generally played the same heroes, and Phantom Lancer 2 is one that most teams wouldn't turn to in this particular game.
Relax, buddy. A little mouth spasm there. I'll get myself on the record to say it. I think CDEC take this, maybe not this game, but I still think they come and take this.
CDEC's execution and teamfight is just way better than what I've seen from LGD, though.
Yeah, it's surprising, too, because you look at these LGD players, all of them individually have had incredible teamfight moments, but just as a group, it's not quite there. Maybe they're missing Xiaowait.
Everyone misses Xiaowait.
Those are big shoes to fill.
Come back to newbie. Come back to LGD.
Well, he's lining his pockets off of that, I suppose. Whenever the guy gets re-signed, which seems to be every 6 months, he's got a fancy new contract. Speaking of fancy new contracts, apparently they lead to very nice shoes. ROTK, it looks like he's taking a page out of his old teammate's Burnings book. They like the swag sneakers.
I haven't seen them.
No?
You'll have to show me a picture. Tweet it out. For all the world.
From what I've been told, a lot of the clothing that Burning owns is very premier, you might say. $500 sneakers, a couple $100 pairs of pants.
And even his backpack's like...
He's very well dressed. And he's not like, wearing a suit or anything, but he's swagged out, that's for sure. RTK is just trying to get with the Burning hype. Player we'll see tomorrow. Early days here at Frankfurt, obviously EG walking away with a somewhat expected result, though Vega did come in looking very strong in the opening moments of the series. Game 3, they kind of fell apart, but does this EG feel like they have what it takes to go all the way? Are you seeing more vulnerabilities compared to the previous iteration?
I mean, it was similar to TI where they did decently during the group stage, but I think the later rounds of the main tournament is where you actually see EG strength. So I still think it's too early to tell, even though it's day 3.
And that always has been their strength, is their ability to adapt more than anything else. It'd be nice for them to just get a clean win for once, but they've had to scrap and claw.
They're actually
every
pretty
series so
innovative
far.
this tournament, though. They're way more innovative than they were previously.
I agree. I feel like they're showing more diversity in picks, and maybe that's something that having Arteezy back brings to the table that they didn't feel as comfortable before. Looks like the team's still getting settled here.
Or maybe they were just forced to because Sumail's go-to heroes were nerfed.
That's true. And AUI's staple heroes were just so damn strong at that tournament, the way that EG used them. So.
Will we see any techies this tournament? Any Pudges, any Centaurs?
I'll take that
anything?
bet if you want to make it.
I mean, there's what, like maybe 20 heroes
What
that have
kind of odds would I have to give you, Ben?
For techies?
For techies. I think there's absolutely no chance that there's a techies pick.
1 to 40 maybe?
40 to 1? What's the point? What do I get? Like a scrap of bread or something? Meanwhile, you're walking away with half the grocery store? That doesn't sound very fair.
Those are the odds, man.
Okay, I'll take it. Sure, why not? 40 to 1 odds. We have you on record. Any other bets you want to make while we're waiting for the
How do you like that gyrocopter set that was just focused on?
Yar, matey. Is this a new one? This is the
It looks ridiculous. He's an admiral and a sky captain in one.
I'm actually liking it a lot.
He's like swagged out.
It needs its own voice pack though, and you need like the Kunkka-esque version. Is there an all pirate team possible in Dota 2?
I mean, we could just make Kunkka
Pirate
viable.
Just 5 Kunkkas. They're all constantly Xing each other. You've got like a chain of Kunkkas down the map. That would be fun. Where is Kunkka, by the way? The boat's so good. 400 damage at level 1. It's like 4 spells in one. You have the damage reduction, the massive AoE stun.
But then you have a Kunkka. He's better when there's a Shadow Demon that's been pretty popular. He's kind of hard
But then
to
you have a
combo now.
Shadow Demon. which-
Most people like the big team fight combos as opposed to the lane winning combos.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also part of it.
I mean, everyone's picking Darkseer, right? Like in theory, Kunkka, he loves being with Darkseer.
Yeah, I mean
They're chumps.
that's hard to hit.
Yeah.
That requires really good timing.
You need like that fissure follow-up or something if you really want the boat to connect.
Maybe if you could still vacuum people during song,
Well, you buff Kunkka, that's one way to bring Sing Sing back into the meta.
just make it 500 damage in 5 seconds. Why not?
I feel like the damage is not the issue, though, right? Give it 1,000 damage. Well, then he'd probably.
I mean, it does so much more than that, though. You have damage, you have move speed,
You have the damage reduction,
stun,
stun, sadness, tears for the enemy team.
super low cooldown,
You get to pour rum all over them.
light them on fire.
If only it like synergized with Batright or something, then they're like easier to ignite and take more damage. What is going on with Earthshaker there, man? He's got like a little bit of a lockjaw going on. So Q is going to be on a signature Visage. This is, to me, I became really impressed at TI when I started to see Q's versatility. So in the group stage, he played like all kind of the standard supports, but then they mixed in a Silencer, a Visage, and this was when nobody was really picking those heroes. And I don't think he missed a global that entire tournament. Then I cast him after TI and I brought it up and he promptly whiffed a global. But he's shown a great versatility for a fairly unknown support prior to that event.
So word is we have problems with the headsets, and they are still sorting it out.
Okay, good to know. The players are anxious to get underway, I'm sure. This is a big match for both. Winner of this will move in, and I believe at that point they're guaranteed top 12. Is that correct?
No, they're already secured top 12.
Oh, sorry, it would be top 8 at that point. So it's a pretty big match. Then you really start to get into the money.
This is close to the Earthshaker log that I so despise. Probably my #1 hated cosmetic.
Do you have like a published list of your...
No, it's just, well, first is
What
the,
is going on?
first is the Earthshaker log.
Look, this is what happens when you have the log, Ben. You just start to lose your mind.
No, that's not actually the log. It's close to the log.
Okay, well,
The
just-
log actually has like a leaf coming out
Even
of it, so you know it's a
approaching
log.
log status, he just starts to like freak out and twitch everywhere. I hate this thing.
And then the second is the Sven pantaloons that make him look like a jester. Have you seen those? It was like one of the first
pantaloons?
cosmetics. Yeah.
Yeah, they're okay.
They look like clown pantaloons.
It's really
He's not a clown.
It's I can live with it. I mean, Gyrocopter's not a sky pirate, but it still looks cool.
Yeah. What about what cosmetics don't you like?
I I hate... Oh, shit. He might hear me. I hate the Casper Nick set. It's terrible. I don't think he heard me.
He looked over.
Yeah.
Really?
That's the one set
I like
that
that set.
that I've always... I love Casper. He's a great guy. I can't stand
Isn't that the one that you can change to like 4 different colors?
Yeah, but it's hideous. 4 different variations
Wow.
of hideous still add up to hideous.
Someone was mentioning how the trophy was like tiny, and they're gonna. Jacob thought it was a hat, or was it Kevin? Kevin thought it was a hat.
It's very portable, though.
It
I
is.
wonder if they get to take it.
I mean, it's like it's supposed to be like a.
What's the deal with the Aegis? They get to like take it for the year, or do they just get to take pictures with it?
Ask EG.
I know EG had a replica made of it for past TIs, but I'm not sure what the deal is nowadays. So we'll see. Courier trying to be stealthy here.
Slither its way up the steps.
swear, I'm not here.
Are you a Venoling or a Huntling guy? Kind of guy. The Huntling's the bounty hunter.
Definitely Huntling.
Definitely Huntling. I don't know. This is
Mainly
kinda
because I
cute.
have a golden Huntling. So.
Biased.
Yeah. Those things were worth a lot when they first came out, actually. But they have too much sentimental value.
Ooh,
Ben.
look at that
Can't part
courier.
with them.
Who needs cosmetics?
You know, there was a very angry Reddit thread about the fact that PPD is not using
Throw?
an alternate courier. He's using the basic donkey, and that is just unacceptable. How can you win TI and use the regular courier?
Maybe it's like more gray and it blends in with the terrain. Remember in Dota 1 when people would select dark green because it's faded in with the minimap?
Even the Dota heroes are starting to just fiend a little bit. They're like, we just want to play. I can't take it anymore. Get me in the game.
It's cool how it has their cosmetics though.
Yeah, that's something that they added back at TI that I really enjoy. Is we see some lovely fans in the audience, guys. Thank you all for coming out on day 1. Looking beautiful. See, we clap for other people, unlike the panel. They just clap for themselves. Smug bunch that they are.
You're going to be up there soon.
I've never seen so much self-congratulation in my life. Every pick, it's like, oh, great job, guys. We're the best panel ever. We're the A team. You know, Red, I actually tweeted that earlier. Isn't that disgusting, Ben?
That was when I was on there.
He
so
lumped you on
I
the A
can't-
team.
I can't agree.
Do you agree with that assessment? Was that the A team?
No comment.
Only because you're casting with me now.
I can
You're a
clap.
chameleon, you know? You'll clap for whichever group you're in, then you'll sneak along to the next. Like, yeah, guys, now we're the A team. Maybe you're the A team, Ben.
Okay. I can't clap for that.
Okay. See, you're different then. Yeah. Still waiting for the headset issues to get resolved here, guys. Thank you very much for your patience. You know, I want to see CDEC bring that Drow Ranger back. It's something VP have run. They've been very successful in the right games. It used to be one of Aggressive's most played heroes before the qualifiers. Do you think there's going to be a game where they can work it in there, mix it up a little bit?
I don't think any team aside from VP really like drafting Drow Ranger, and even then it's still very risky. Like teams just don't feel comfortable past 25 minutes with
Yeah.
that sort of position 1.
And there's so many good gap closers right now. Like Tusk is amazing. We see quite a bit of Clockwork. Whether or not he's always the best pick, I guess up for debate. Spirit Breaker, Night Stalker as well. So, all right, we're gonna go back to Paul. They've had enough of us.
Well, we've never had enough of you, LD. We love hearing from you, but we thought we'd give you a little bit of a break while the issue gets fixed, and we're back on the panel. What did you have for lunch?
I don't know what that was, actually.
It was nice, though.
He's the wrong person to ask. The person that really should be asking is over there.
I had some food.
Did you? Yeah. Because I heard earlier that you may have wanted some food.
I made it very clear. I was looking forward to some food.
Yes. Oh, the mics are not good. Anyway, gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit more about this game before it does kick on. We don't often have a chance for you to all summarise the draft because it has to change over very quickly, obviously, to the game. Now you have an opportunity to actually discuss the pros and strengths of the 2 drafts.
Well, first thing to point out is that PL, a hero of TI5, is not really the same hero that he was before. He got some nerfs, an agility gain nerf, which means that he does less damage as the game scales on than he used to. And also, it takes longer to cast your second spell. It wasn't a big increase, but it was enough where you couldn't just dodge any spell you wanted to, no matter your reaction time. So the hero is still good situationally. We've seen some really good PL wins during the group stage, but I feel like it's not as strong, so that may still be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I think the first time we've seen it across the whole tournament.
No, it's been picked once or
It
twice.
may have been one of the off games that we didn't cover on the
Kind of like the anti-mage. If you see there's no counters, in which case the counter to PL is usually AoE, then he's a great pick. And in this game, there's some AoE, so I'm not really sure if he's going to work. What do you guys think?
Gyro versus PL. I mean, one of the classic carry counter picks is Gyro. The other is Ember. I think those are the two most favorite ones. And the Gyrocopter versus PL matchup is interesting in the sense that Flak Cannon is obviously great, but when Flak Cannon is down, Gyro is horrible against him. Then Rocket Barrage does nothing because you have multiple illusions around you. Call down is very easy for him to dodge with just Doppelganger. So I'd say I don't think LGD have enough counters in their arsenal that they can just take this super late. They probably need to hit a sweet spot where they win the game between maybe 40 to 50 minutes.
Okay, it's quite late. Okay, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm with the two gentlemen on this. I think the Lancer, again, trails back to CDEC always picking what is within their comfort zone. Anti-Mage seems to be the clear-cut option here, like by far the best carry pick that they could have hoped for. The only real thing they had against it was a Rubik. And they still opt for the Phantom Lancer just because Aggressive hasn't played any games of Anti-Mage.
All right, sounds like we're ready to go back, so let's rejoin your commentary team now. D, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Paul. We're back. We're live. It's LGD versus CDEC, Game 1 in the best of 3. The teams back off, and in the Radiant jungle, there have been some wards planted down, an Observer as well as a Sentry, all to deny this early pole camp action. And it looks like the first Sentry planted by Q is going to be a whiff, Ben. So Visage may be struggling for his levels.
Where'd he give his other one to?
What's that?
Where's his other sentry?
Let's see. I'm not actually seeing it right now.
It
It might have been dewarded.
Wow, that's not actually good for Visage at all, especially with them having 2 heroes down here in the early game. They really want to make sure that ROTK...
Oh, you know what? I think it might have been on the Courier, because Garter's got one now.
Okay.
So he is going to initiate here, charging towards the bottom lane. Seems like they really want to stop RTK from getting that quick level 2. Coming in hot and heavy. ROTK.
He's already skilled Arctic.
No surge yet. DDC doesn't have the easy save here. They have a Mango for an extra lance if they really want to commit for this. They don't even need it. There's the Soul Assumption, and CDEC get on the board. Nice and early. 1-0 the score. Great movement there, and well, this is what you want to do against the Darkseer. Don't let him get that easy level 2.
It might have been better to hold the skill point out on the Winter Wyvern. I think Cold Embrace, he has like a chance of living, maybe even Splinter Shards, but Arctic Burn it's very difficult to stop the charge coming out from the Spirit Breaker, and ROTK is going to continue to struggle. But luckily, they aren't allowed to pull in that lane, so let's say he goes off to the jungle, they can't come out hugely ahead in the economic gain.
So looking at some of our other matchups, we may see a true 1v1 here early on, with Shiki playing the Queen of Pain, as mentioned by the panel. Definitely one of his most comfortable heroes, maybe on that very high-octane playmaking mid, the Wind Ranger. Early on, pretty even start here as both players just focused on the harass and those early last hits. I do want to point out up in the Dire jungle that LGD have also missed on a D-ward of their own. So there's great vision here right now for Xi on the Shaker. It is also going to scout Momoya's rotation over towards mid, as we see DDC off in the woods. Looks like he wants to do a bit of stacking. Definitely something LGD can take advantage of. They've got very good jungle clear ability.
So let's see if they're able to de-ward that Dire ward. I think it's really gonna hurt them unless they get lots of kills on ROTK.
Wow. He is still level 1 though, so not easy for him to get away from a potential gank.
As long as he keeps all 3 of them down here, though, that's pretty good because they can't stack and pull for the Queen of Pain. And on top of that, both LGD supports are stacking for the Darkseer, so he can catch back up. Looks like ROTK's already headed back there.
And he's heading off for this bottom lane. Feels like he's done his job, and they will at long last find the first ward, but that's only the Sentry, which was expiring soon. Still the Observer, not scouted. They'll probably recognize this in relatively short order. In fact, gonna resort to farming the medium camp. Is Gyrocopter just free farming away in the top lane. Already 14 and 12. Your Phantom Lancer struggling a bit more aggressive, having the last hit under tower to the Iron Shell at times. Only 10 and 8, but still having an okay go of it. And well, over to the mid lane where maybe, as we often see, Ben, is able to get the early advantage.
Yep, he has his bottle way earlier than Shiki. Shiki's actually kind of low, but they don't really have the
trying to bait here. They've got the charge coming in, rotation from behind. XZ wants to help him out. Shiki, he gets a lot more help than a lot of other mids, and this might be enough. No, they don't get a bash, and now XZ's in danger. Shackle coming through, won't actually latch, but they look for pursuit. They've got bottle charges available here. Maybe not quite enough, it seems. Even MMY rotating 6 heroes into that mid lane in the end, but No kills.
Oh, Shiki was really close to dying right there. If he even got hit by like a non-charged power shot, he would have died.
Oh, I bet he'd like an upgraded courier. 3.5 minutes in, it's still in pedestrian mode. These supports are not wanting to purchase one just yet.
And Tyler really has evolved his play, and I think all the Chinese carries saw CDEC and their success, and they're like, okay, we got to play like aggressive. This, you know, just AFK farming for 20, 25 minutes just does not stand anymore.
It wasn't even just the Chinese teams. To add to your point, it was a lot of the Western teams really started to adopt that style as well.
Yeah, so no like super early HOD and stacking. It's all about the Sage, so you survive, so you can fight more, sometimes even the drums.
Yeah, I mean, once in a while you'd see him get like BOTs on PL, but that was only if he was already having a really good time of it, and he'd still come to fights. And if not, then often we'd see that treads into Aquila, the drums even, for that extra bit of survivability in the early engagements.
It might be hard for him to keep up with Aggressive's farm though, because Aggressive is shaping up to be maybe an early BOT rush. ROTK still kind of struggling to get levels in this bottom lane, and if he commits for fighting items and CDEC is able to, you know, just kind of dodge with the Phantom Lancer and have him BOT in a fights and not die, then Aggressive will be way ahead of this gyrocopter.
Man, the impact of these early wards, Ben, there's been very little successful jungling from CDEC. They managed to farm this camp a couple of times, and at the same time, LGD, they've tried to make a couple of moves top lane onto the Earthshaker, but also foiled by the ward. Those wards have played a huge role here in the laning stage.
Yeah, they missed with the second sentry on Q. So no pull for Visage. That's, you know, you want your Visage to be 6 as soon as possible. And it's just going to be, you know, post 10 minutes this game.
Looking to make the jump on maybe, perhaps. They do bring the Spirit Breaker towards that mid lane. He's posted up fairly far, but they're going to need the +1. XC rotating in. Looks like he just poked his head out into dire Observer ward range.
It's really risky. If Rubik's there and there is like a small blind spot to the north of maybe, which is exactly where the supports are, and he gets lifted into the right side, he is just dead.
Well, they are going to go for the charge, but it's not the way you might think. They're going bottom, and ROTK has no vision of this. No teleport scroll either, so he's not going to have an easy way out. He does have the surge available, but the charge continues. How far do they want to go? They're going to commit for it. Looking for that bash. They get it. Still not enough. Aggressive looks for the lance, but he gets fogged. He can't finish the kill. The TP got canceled. I think they were just expecting he was already dead, but in fact, RTK, living that charmed life, will back off, salve up, and ship shape once more.
It was a nice maneuver by ROTK. He sidestepped a little bit to the right, so Aggressive got fogged.
And a lot of jungle stacking here for both teams now, Ben. Seems like it's going to be a very economy-focused mid-game as we hit that 6-minute mark. Nobody really looking for those aggressive early ganks, at least not yet. Gyro has hit level 6. The Darkseer about to get his level 3 Ion Shell, and over for CDEC, Shiki. Still need a level 2 Scream. He actually opted for the second point in Shadow Strike. We saw earlier Sumail just taking the 1 point, focusing more on his ability to fight those larger scale engagements, clear the stacks, but Shiki wanted the lane dominance. Unfortunately, has not gotten it. Still a bit behind in terms of CS.
ROTK is doing a very good job of keeping the Visage occupied though, but finally the Observer Ward has despawned and maybe they'll be able to start pulling come 7 minutes, and Q still desperately hurting for experience with just 1 kill on ROTK. But here we see a smoke maneuver.
I think CDEC are feeling like they're not getting enough out of this laning stage. They want to break it down now. Almost level 7 here at Shiki, making the move on the top lane. This is a very dangerous dive. If Sylar sees it coming, he's going to back off. There's the chart, the fissure as well, but they don't have to follow up, and Carter is the sacrifice on the altar of Sylar, and they might, oh, Shiki, lucky that he didn't get caught by that shackle. He will survive. Did not work out the way they had planned.
The Fissure placed him on, he wanted to block him off to the left so that Queen of Pain can scream and Sonic Wave and right click with the DD and then blink out because of the TPs, but Shiki saw that the Fissure was on the wrong side and he had to blink across the Fissure in order to connect with that kill, which would leave him vulnerable to the TPs. So,
and quite likely he just dies as well when the cooldown gets dropped there, so I think the right play to back off.
I'm surprised they had vision of him to charge. He was kind of hugging the tree line, and with that ward out in mid from maybe, it's very obvious as to when Queen of Pain is going to be leaving the lane.
Yeah, I think that mid ward is probably what did them in. Not even necessarily seeing the charge, but just knowing that Queen of Pain's been off the lane for a while. They are going to find an opening here, though. Maybe he's trapped on the side of the Fissure. He does manage to win run back. DDC dropping fairly low. There's the charge. Shackle not going to connect, and now they jump on to maybe Quaffled over the top. Maybe will go down. So they look for more. They turn with the call down though. Sylar has arrived. A complete airball from the carry player here of LGD. The Fissure comes in, trapping Sylar on the wrong side of it. The team can't back him up too easily. almost gets bashed over, and in fact, Shiki jumps in. The rocket barrage and barely survives. 30 HP, and away he goes. What a miraculous fight. CDEC just so good in these early skirmishes. Well, they were not even slightly disgruntled by that first kill top. They just go right back to the well, and this time it's a big win.
Oh, excellent play by Xe right there. That was the perfectly placed fissure right there to split Gyro off from the rest of his team. I'm a little surprised he didn't take the rune. Maybe actually was able to snag up the bounty, but at the end of the day, that pulled LGD into a poor position.
So Q now is going to grab his energy booster. Looks like he does already have the arcane boots completed. This will definitely be of use for Xe, who's not gotten a whole lot of farm there in the Earthshaker. Shiki also will take a bit of a benefit. Curious to see what the build will be for the Visage this game. Oftentimes Q doesn't really go for that early Ags. He does quite often favor like either a Solar Crest or even sometimes getting the mech for the team. So maybe the way he goes this time as well.
I think Medallion's pretty good because they don't have a good counter to Winter's Curse, and you really want that target to be able to survive
this charge top. Garter actually canceled it, but the cooldown had already been used. Could have been an opportunity to go for the kill there on the Rubik, as Aggressive will engage on RTK bottom, but tanks the Lance, surges away. So both teams feinting back and forth, but still nobody really contesting the actual jungles where the stacking has been going on nonstop. They did manage to clear out one of the big stacks in the LGD woods as well as the medium camp.
Well, they need a charge to start off the fights, and they don't have any vision into the jungle. So with that, they actually don't know where Winter Wyvern is ever, because he's generally just stacking and checking runes. And there's usually at least two missing.
In trouble here. Shackle will interrupt the charge. There's no Nether Strike yet, but they still want to die for this. This is a pretty hefty commitment, especially with no Sonic Wave. And after baiting out the rotation, CDEC at the perfect moment. Just back off and we'll retreat. So forcing out the 4-hero rotation. And all the while, Aggressive still farming bottom. Pretty good map control here in terms of the way CDEC are moving. Treads are the choice for Aggressive though, so maybe he was considering the BOTs, but he goes for the combat build, definitely as tanky as possible and looking to be a little more durable in these fights.
Yeah, CDEC are really looking for opportunities to kill, but just with the supports constantly floating in the dire jungle, it's really hard for them. I'd like to see them get an aggressive Observer Ward down next to the Roshan Pit and try and gank ROTK and then take that tower out and see how many supports are out there. But instead, I mean, they don't really have the best heroes to take out stacks.
I think they're waiting for the level 6 on Q. It's been pretty slow coming thanks to the camp being blocked and all the failed D wards that you pointed out, but he's about to get it. And with the familiars, then they can take the tower more easily.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, it's a good time, but they'll be level 6 pretty soon on Rubik and Winter Wyvern as well.
And that's the scary thing, is LGD are so good at defending once they get their levels up. And already RTK, he's managed to hit level 7, despite hardly entering the lane. Maybe he's got the max power shot. DDC, the level 2, soon level 3 Splinter Blast, and they've got cooldown. So
yeah, they're really good at defending in the traditional sense, though, with power shot coming out and Winter Wyvern Splinter Shards to clear out the creep wave. But what CDEC are banking on is a really chaotic fight. Is like Visage Familiars coming around from behind, charge coming around from one direction, and they just swoop in with a fissure to split off the team, and that's the fight that they're looking for. So they shouldn't be pushing in the traditional, hey, let's group up as 5 with a mech, and they want to take them by storm and just catch them out when they're 2, and by the time they TP in, they're already dead because there's people coming in from all sides.
Well, the second they get level 6 on Q, away they go. Literally just clipped it with only 25 experience to spare, and now the whole squad moves top. Shiki is scouted here, but do they fully know what's coming Sylar's way? The charge goes in. Fissure not going to be on the mark, but they still get off at least that initial stun from Garter. The calldown's dropped, and CDEC say, just kidding, we want to get the hell out, but there's the Shackle. It's on to 2. The quad pull coming through from the side from Shiki. Not enough damage to get the kill just yet. RTK with the mech, able to turn that one around, combined with the calldown, and if they'd hit that Fissure, it could have been a different story.
MNY's been in a really good position and really good at anticipating where the Rubik's or where the Spirit Breaker's gonna be. He was able to stop that charge, and a lot of damage coming out, a lot of ultimates coming out, and that's even without the Winter's Curse. I think if Winter's Curse comes out there, a hero gets shackled right after that, and that's 3 heroes dead for CDEC. So they have to be extremely careful. They're kind of charging without vision. They don't have vision behind this tower and into the dire jungle.
I feel like it just comes back to the slow leveling on the Visage. I feel they wanted to make that play at like 10 minutes, not 12 to 13. But unfortunately, the timing wasn't quite right now. We'll see a charge towards bottom from Garter. Sylar he would have to engage into, though. That is not an easy target to take down, and instead they're going to opt to fall back to a farming kind of holding pattern here. But How do you feel the teams are going to match up if this is just a static game? Do you think CDEC can hold their own against LGD?
I think LGD's team fight is much, much stronger, and without aggressive going for a super greedy build, I think that LGD should pull ahead in the mid game if they keep executing like they do.
Here comes the smoke. LGD heading towards bottom. They want to get a deep ward out. The ping was used just now as they swing towards the Radiant safe lane, planting the ward in the jungle. Carter just trying to get that level 6. He's also close, but feeling a bit under-leveled there on the Spirit Breaker.
Both teams just trying to look for a smoke gank into 1 or 2 kills into a tower, but neither team really giving any quarter in that regard, and kind of reading the game right. Mid lane is just people are going to be farming. There's good wave clear on both sides, so that's not really the lane that they're looking for. They want to take over control of the jungle so they can come out ahead in economy, because both teams' late game potency is relatively even at this point.
LGD, they feel like they have the strength to just bull rush a tower, so they're going to reveal 4 heroes here bottom. And while that's going on, DDC, a fissure was thrown out towards the creep wave, but he's going to TP away, so nobody getting caught. In the meantime, CDEC are working on that mid tower, but their push isn't all that fast without the familiars in position. And so the tower bottom will fall. Cliffs get expended. Blink now up on the Wind Ranger. LGD going for those early combat items, and it's the Radiant's turn to get their own aggressive ward up.
They've already used and chopped down this entire jungle though, like 5 times over with the amount of stacks that they've already cleared out. So
it feels like they got their money's worth already.
It's a little late for when you want the Observer Ward, but as you said, they really didn't have the opportunity to earlier. Maybe just lacking the firepower without the Visage Familiars. And LGD going for a big play here.
The Pirate Gyro trailing after maybe. Now has the blink for the big playmaking initiation.
And the mech on ROTK.
Yeah, I've had that for some time actually. I had it in the top tower fight, and again, it could come into huge opportunity if they get the good team fight they're looking for. Also, Vacuum's still only level 1 here, so that is the one thing they're lacking for the reliable team fight, and perhaps that's why they were waiting for the maybe blink. They might find their jump here momentarily. XZ just out of vision. Instead, they'll reveal Sylar, but you see the Gyro running by the tower like this, and you just know he is not alone.
So CDEC actually didn't get that much out of that entire last couple of minutes. They lost their bottom tower. They probably could have committed to the T1 tower had they known LGD's position, but they didn't decide to bait out the TPs, and instead it looks like LGD will actually get the tower because of CDEC's hesitancy.
They try to stall here with the familiars as well as the fissure, but it's not going to be enough as the tower gets pounded and quickly brought down, as well as both of the familiars, it looks like.
If it continues at this rate, LGD are just going to take control of the Dire jungle and do their Ancients and the Dire or do Ancients and Roshan at their will. So it's not really shaping up to be that good for CDEC at all. It seems like they just don't really feel confidence in their ability to fight, and why would you against this massive combo that LGD have? Maybe they look for the pickoff, but with the wards that LGD have, the vision, if you check it out, they see almost everything. Good ward in each lane or near each lane to prevent any sort of sneaky rotations. So now they back off to the jungle. Slow and steady will do it. And they have still yet to give up too much map control. Yeah, they lost the tower top, but hasn't stopped them from farming this lane. See smoke on either support on both sides, and just looking for that one smoke gank to kind of open this game up for each of these teams.
Yeah, you check the smoke and they're running out. That is a limited resource, and both teams have expended a lot of it early on trying to get that critical game-changing fight. No success thus far.
But CDEC will keep pressing on for that. That's generally just how they play. It's like, okay, it's going to be even, and then they're just going to keep smoking until they take like one big team fight, and then after that, they keep the train rolling. And LGD have been doing a really good job of having sufficient numbers to strengthen and bolster where their weak spots are.
Yeah, they're just hugging each other. Very rarely are LGD off on their own, and even if they are, there's normally a tower nearby or a ward, so they know it's safe.
But they drafted and anticipated for this. It was the very first pick, Spirit Breaker.
Right.
So you know what kind of game you're already set for just from that pick alone.
And going back to that draft, that's where I love the LGD grab of the Darkseer, because you have the Spirit Breaker and the Darkseer, then getting towered over is a lot scarier. But they took it away. They denied the combo that CDEC do run quite a bit of. They also get RTK, I think that probably his most comfortable hero right now that actually is reliable in this meta, whereas the Clockwork they will draft a lot, but you know, we've seen plenty of those games where clock just doesn't really fit. But this Darkseer always brings a lot to the table.
Both teams are very hesitant of going too greedily, though. We see smoke coming out from LGD, but maybe going for like the blink first as opposed to a Scepter or a Maelstrom. We see Gyrocopter with SNY instead of, let's say, an HOD. Same with the Phantom Lancer going with the Treads instead of the BOTs. Like, no one wants to commit.
Queen of Pain with a BKB.
Yeah.
There's the blink, though. They jump onto Shiki here. Winter's Curse deployed as well. There's the charge from Garter, trying to burst him down. Shiki never gets it off, and will drop off the bat now. The blink being stolen here by the Rubik. Fissure coming through to try and slow down RTK, but there's the pursuit of 2 Hero Shackle! Maybe does it again, and then the follow-up coming in as Sylar charges forward, gets off the cooldown, secures the 3rd kill. It all began with Maybe, and it ends with 3 CDEC heroes hitting the deck.
That was a really nice chain stun, though. They even had some disables to keep the Wind Ranger from immediately killing the Queen of Pain, but after that they had the lift and the Winter's Curse and then the vacuum just for that tiny bit of disabled time so that they could just burst her down before the BKB. And you know, when you lose a big team fight like that after picking up a BKB first and committing to all these early game items, it's not shaping up well.
Well, for LGD it certainly is now. They'll take the mid tower, maybe. Well on his way to that Aghanim Scepter as the familiars push out the bottom lane. Wave will get power shotted here, and they're also going to look to push out top with Momoya as well as DDC there. So they get the lane control back their way after pressuring down mid. And it does feel like maybe they'll look towards the Rosh relatively soon with the map control beginning to tilt their direction.
So they need to be able to eliminate these supports very early on in the fight. Like a Winter's Curse is so disruptive to the flow of the team fight for CDEC that they're just unwilling to do so. So that means they need like a charge from the Fog or ideally a blink on the Shaker. So that's probably next to what they were waiting for, but everything's just come out too slow for them, losing their jungle control from the start and delaying Visage's level 6, so the smokes came out late. Like everything just keeps on getting delayed and delayed.
And it's just not a CDEC tempo. It's very passive, reactionary. This is a team that wants to be in your face, and your side of the map, diving you at the tower, taking early objectives, playing from a lead, and more so than a lot of other teams who are comfortable in that split push game and the slower pace. That's just not the CDEC way. But they're forced into it now.
Yeah, it seems like they didn't really get enough out of the bottom lane, though. Like even aside from the pull, they weren't able to kill ROTK that one time. They have an early Aquila on the Phantom Lancer, but that T1 tower is still relatively healthy, and they're just giving up so many objectives around the map right now.
Yeah, still yet to even grab the tier 1 mid, and there is a glyph available. Aggressive will finally complete his Diffusal Blade, so it's a pretty big item. But LGD, the ones taking the bigger objectives. Tier 2 now down bottom lane, and that really opens up the way towards our potential Roshan. Looks like they want to clear out top first. Garter might get caught out here momentarily. Maybe he's looking for the initiation. Blinks and Shackles, latches him to his own catapult. What a terrible way to go. And down, Garter will fall. So again, LGD finding the pickoffs, not really giving anything up, just clean and very surgical here.
They also just have better observer wards. They saw him farming out alone. It's like, okay, let's TP over there and get a kill. CDEC just had that observer ward in the Dire jungle. It just expired, but even if they see anyone with a charge, it's not like they can realistically get over there. They don't have the mobility, and they don't have even the damage, I think, to commit to a kill. And again, look at LGD's positioning. All 5 of them huddling around very close together. Even if a CDEC were able to eliminate a support early on in the fight, I'm not sure how effective that would be. Unless they have the Earthshaker.
They have the Diffusal Blade down, Aggressive.
His Blink's out, actually.
They smoke with this. They're going to commit the Echo for Sylar, but isn't really enough. They've stolen the Enchant Totem, not the ideal spell for MMY, but they managed to blow up Sylar. At the very least, still Shiki getting smacked down by Aggressive, and the Earthshaker will survive, so they get the pick on the Gyrocopter.
It was nice and swift. CDEC overcommitted to the Gyrocopter as they should have. If they Glimmer plus Cold Embrace... Oh no.
Maybe he's going back in, finds the Shackle, lays into Aggressive. Splinter Blast coming through the charge to interrupt it. No, Aggressive manages to doppelganger, tries to retreat out, turns to fight on Maybe. Is he going to be able to find the real one? No, he's not! Aggressive in a hail of spears brings him down, and elsewhere, XC continues pursuit, trying to hunt down RTK. They also lost the Rubik. Blinking forward, Shiki's going to go for this. Looks like the Shadow Strike might be enough. Surging and juking LGD. Looking for DDC as well, who glimmers, runs away, but he got pinged. Looks like they barely saw him. Not sure, guess not. He will make it out. Still, they get 3, they almost get a 4th, and they take some of that prize momentum away from LGD.
And that was really good how they just threw everything they had at the gyrocopter, though. There was no Cold Embrace Glimmer Cape save, and the Winter's Curse actually came out after the gyrocopter already had fallen.
What a very slow game as far as the kills go, Ben. Only 6-6, which makes every little kill you see so much more important. Makes a big difference here. Delaying Sylar's BKB as it looks to be, preventing maybe from getting towards that next big item. RTK did manage to put together a blink though, and he is now level 11, about to get that level 2 wall once he hits 12, and then things may get trickier. Something also worth mentioning is obviously with a PL in the game, the Darkseer could play a huge role.
And we see LGD commit to an early gem at this point, which kind of coincides with what they've been trying to do and pick smart fights, and they realize that if they keep running around as 5, they're going to lose out in farm because of the blink and the doppelganger from Phantom Lancers. They're not going to really be able to kill their split pushers, whereas CDEC can kill their split pushers with Spirit Breaker and the same mobility from their other 2 cores. So it's important that they are able to farm out alone, and they'll feel safe if there are no observer wards cleared out by the gem.
LGD definitely don't feel too safe now. 4 heroes clumped up mid, just hugging and playing defensively. Maybe he's going to see an opportunity to try to sneak bottom. Nope, has a second thought about it. We'll back off. But it's CDEC who are spreading the map now. So kind of a switcheroo from what happened the past 10 minutes or so. All just due to that one fight.
Yeah, the Echo was having the Blink Echo just not giving enough time for LGD to prepare is.
And that was
really
the Blink
important.
reveal, by the way. He had not showed it before that. So. Pretty big time to get it out. And Q, kind of true to his Visage form, as I mentioned. He generally goes for more of the utility items on the Visage, less of the carry, Aghanim's, Solar Crest into AC. So he grabs the mech for now. Just looking to bolster their team fight and match ROTK. But the familiars do their work. They take down the tier 1 mid at long last. CDEC have been just struggling to bring this bulwark down, but at long last it does fall. At the same moment, Sylar grabs his BKB. Do LGD feel any desire to fight on the back of this?
I mean, they can play it one of 2 ways. They can just get Sylar nice and big, but they can also team fight with the gyrocopter. Now that he has BKB, he shouldn't die if DDC is in a good position. So DDC is priority number 1. Like if you see Rubik, if you see their entire team, you just hone in on the Winter Wyvern and blow them up with like a Blink Echo and a Sonic Wave, and then after that, you can commit to the other heroes.
Yeah, especially now that he's carried the gem. That's just a double helping of goodness if CDEC can find.
Well, no one else can save him. I guess there's like a mech from Darkseer, but that's it. The counter with Cold Embrace and Glimmer and Winter's Curse is just huge. It's too much to ignore.
He's relatively easy to kill and hugely important to bring down, as they are going to find Sylar on the back of the double familiar zone. They look to blow him up, throwing out the Sonic Wave. He hangs up for now. He still can't get up that damn BKB, but finally he does. Turns and lays into Garter. Cheeky trying to focus on maybe who got a Shacklement to bring down the Earthshaker. Sylar surviving through it. Oh, it's up to Aggressive to turn this fight around. Gets off the Purge, looking for the Lances. Can he shut down maybe? He barely brings him down. Somehow they managed to turn the fight back a little bit, but the gem survives and DDC snakes away. So they don't lose either of their carries, Ben, whereas LGD do lose the Wind Ranger, but still a 3 for 2, numerically favoring LGD.
Sylar was also really close to dying. I think that, that was so close. They actually had that even planned out. They're like, okay, we're gonna blink in Echo and we're gonna try and fissure DDC, and DDC was like kind of like at the bottom of the cliff and didn't actually get hit by the fissure. And with that fissure stun on DDC, they would have like immediately wiped out Sylar.
Here might be a tool to deal with the Wyvern, who turned that fight around in a big way. Get the Orchid now, and there's
He needs
nothing to deal with that.
blink, I suppose, maybe on DDC, or they just need blink on like Darkseer so they can counter with a blink vacuum wall so that they can stop the chain stun from the Earthshaker and allow Gyro to pop his BKB. But they have to stop the chain stun somehow, or have a Cold Embrace plus Glimmer Cape. But
I mean, that was just like the sickest, ideal way to start the fight, where you get the double familiar stun before the Blink Echo, so you know you can commit into it. Maybe not something they can always count on.
yeah, but that's what CDEC are looking for now. They're looking for the Winter Wyvern, so somebody else has to step up to the plate. Somebody else has to save Sylar from these jumps, or alternatively LGD get the jump on CDEC, but that hasn't really been happening because of their somewhat passive playstyle.
Well, MMY now up to 1,800 gold. Maybe he could go for a 4th staff, though generally we would see the blink. Even a blink could be huge here, potentially stealing that Queen of Pain ult, the fissure.
I still think it's more on ROTK. ROTK can vacuum the Earthshaker away from the gyrocopter, and that should buy enough time for him to pop his BKB, because
Look at this.
Blink Dagger and PL, it's not bad.
So you think it's mostly an RTK?
Yeah, I think it's mostly on ROTK to salvage the fights for LGD. Now that Winter Wyvern has proven to be the super important factor that just makes or breaks Sylar. You have to have multiple redundancies in order to save Gyro, and without a stacked Gyro, you're unlikely to win the game because Wind Ranger is just simply not that great of a carry versus the Phantom Lancer.
So what do you think of the Blink Lancer? This is, I'm sure, an incredibly uncommon item on PL. I've hardly ever seen it.
I mean, he can go in and cause a lot of havoc in a fight. They can't really focus him down that well. Like, let's say he blinks in and juxtaposes and Manta styles on one of the supports. Like, what are they realistically going to do? Like, you can't really shackle. There's going to be 5 illusions there minimum, or 5 heroes there minimum. You could vacuum wall. That's also not really that great. Rubik lift, single target. Gyrocopter can start flanking them down, but by that time, the horde of CDEC heroes are going to come in and destroy your heroes that don't have BKB, which is everyone aside from Gyro.
And as we saw last fight, there's no guarantee he gets it off early.
Yeah, so CDEC are looking for other ways to start out the fight. You have Spirit Breaker kind of, but he's unreliable because he doesn't have a BKB, and there's a Rubik on the other side. Earthshaker, somewhat unreliable if you can't keep track of the Winter Wyvern, so now they're starting off with a different way. They have the Orchid on the Queen of Pain with a Blink BKB, and now the Blink Dagger on the Phantom Lancer. Also, it'll just help with him split pushing.
All right, another smoke from LGD. These teams perpetually just chewing through them as soon as they become available and looking for those jumps. Maybe find Q here, but he is only a support Visage. Love to get something bigger. Familiars stalking over where LGD are. They don't know it, but they're in a decent position to cause problems. They're going to cut the wave a little bit, killing off the range creep. CDEC backing off. Clearly sensing something is up, and now Shiki says, screw it, I'm out. Hasted and blinks away.
Well,
so do they try to take this Roche? Can they risk it?
well, they are scouted out by the Observer Ward. But from their point of view, they have, Visage Familiar Scout, but also Aggressive has been very, he's been sending out his illusions constantly. Manta illusions, Juxtapose illusions, just scouting out Roshan, and of course the Visage Familiar is trying to keep track of LGD's positioning. So I don't think there's a way they can sneak it. I don't think they have a Solar Crest on their side, and really no minus armor at all. Maybe once Wind Ranger picks up her next item, they can do Roche quickly enough so that CDEC can't respond.
Now LGD are back to 5-manning again after that failed smoke gank. CDEC also clustering up a bit, a little more spread out, but Shiki's going to join the team, and it might be their turn to go for a smoke. No, none of their inventories currently, so I guess they just want to work together down this bottom lane. Familiars once more in position. You mentioned the scouting, the illusions. The Familiars have also been all over the place, really giving them that extra bit of intel. Something LGD, they don't really have. They don't have a great scouting tool aside from, I guess, the power shot. This bottom tower might become the destination. Okay, now they smoke, and they will move. Let's see where they want to head. XC, down the ramp, around towards mid, thinking about it. Where do they want to go?
Aggressive has been doing a really good job of staying alive in the fights and making sure that he can be the one that cleans up at the very, very end. So as long as he continues to do that, and I think the Blink Dagger kind of aligns with that, then they should be perfectly okay come team fight time.
Oh, they got a big ward down for the smoke gang, potentially. Let's see, Aggressive poking illusions out now. They are going to get scouted. And with those, I think the Familiars, yet also those scouted. LGD pretty much know what's up. CDEC 2 will back off. Another failed smoke gank. These teams have just not been able to catch each other very well.
Well, going into the right side is just asking to die. You're going to file into that choke in. You don't know if they have an Observer Ward up there, so CDEC definitely should not have gone into that right side.
Yeah, it's just a testament to the map awareness of both teams that they just can't get the jump on each other.
Yeah, the positioning is really, really important for both teams. I think CDEC even have to be a little bit more careful because of the vacuum that can pull them in from seemingly good positioning.
Yeah, and the only thing CDEC really have is that Echo, but it's not as easy to set up. Maybe the Quap ult after.
I mean, they've been winning fights with one-man Echoes, so if they clump up, fights are going to be way worse.
Yeah, that's for sure. So they're going to show Aggressive over towards the mid lane. Familiars are going to scout out LGD now. A little karate chop from RTK. Looking for the Familiar stuns. They do get them. Fissure was used as well, but They may lose these familiars. Resummon available.
But now they can't really TP in to defend mid. If they TP in, they're just going to get slaughtered one by one. So now they just kind of have to give that tower up for free.
Oh, XC, he's expecting this rotation. The glyph is forced out now. The PL illusion stacking up. A very big objective here. It's been a slow and steady game. Fissure looking to cut off LGD, separate them. No, decides not to. They're content with the tower mid.
That was a really risky position by the Earthshaker. If, let's say, like Winter Wyvern had gone to fly over and scout a little bit, he would have been dead. Or a Wind Ranger power shot, which happened a little later on.
He did have the ward though near the river, so XC saw quite a bit of the movement.
Don't they have a gem though? Yeah, they do. They weren't able to see that ward.
Scout it.
Yeah, it's a good ward.
They've actually been able to keep the wards up despite the gem. I think just because LGD are so scared about getting on the map.
Okay, so we see Medallion pick up by Darkseer. They want to try and stake and Roche with Wind Ranger and Gyro. I think they have enough damage with the Focus Fire.
Will Aggressive stay disciplined with the scouting? Hard to do it when you're back at the well.
DDC still didn't scout out this ward. I think he can see it during daytime, but he is a little bit too far right on the camp.
It's just like right in that little nook that he can't quite see it. Now the familiars are going to reveal that LGD are up to something mischievous. They are in the pit. And Aggressive, like a bloodhound, is going to hone in. Wants to get aggressive here. How appropriate. Moving in with illusions now to keep the scouting. And LGD are going to have none of it. They only want to sneak. They do not want to take that 5v5 fight, at least not while they're in the pit. But he's getting big now. He gets the Reaver.
Neither team really has split push pressure, which is, where the analysts think that Anti-Mage might have been a better pick, but it's not really what CDEC plays because you don't have the option of 5-mana early. But it's been that sort of game where having the side lane pressure and then having to disperse as a 5-man group and just losing out on farm and towers would have been much more favorable to these teams.
They're afraid of these familiar stuns. Sylar, gotta be careful. They're cooling down in 5 seconds, and CDEC are moving forward. No dire vision into that woods. But then they say, not now. And LGD come back. Ping pong here, Ben.
CDEC actually need a gem.
Nobody's scoring points.
They need a gem fairly soon on CDEC because of the massive 5-on-5 man. It's probably like 80% positioning and the first jump when it comes to these sort of team fights. And having a gem like that to take down Observer Ward is crucial.
Well, they might not have an anti-mage, but they're still going to try to accomplish it with the Blink Phantom Lancer.
He's pretty much an anti-mage.
He's got Mana Burn, he's got illusions.
He has Blink.
He's got a Blink.
Yeah.
Just maybe missing the cooldowns, but RTK will get caught out here. Ran right into the mid lane. This could be terrible. Aggressive. Doppelganger, he ends up on the high ground as well. He's going to charge forward. He runs at LGD, and they just get turned and scared, and RTK will get beaten down from behind. Aggressive just laughs in the faces of LGD. That was after a game of quiet Dota for like 15 minutes, that was one of the biggest picks you could hope for.
Yeah, but now CDEC just, I think, head into Roche Pit very, very soon. Without the Darkseer, like much of their combo is actually gone. They do need to de-ward. I don't know if they have any sentry wards on them though. Oh, looks like they picked up a gem on Q.
Oh, they want that additional objective first. And they're going to force out the RTK buyback. A big win now for CDEC already as the illusions lay into the tower with familiars together. They will bring it down, ramping up their map control a bit, and the gem is online for the Visage as mentioned. So this will allow them to try and secure a little more map control. Likely going to find this Observer Ward in the Radiant Wood soon. It's amazing how much just one kill in a game like this can actually do.
With Heart coming out soon on PL though, I don't know if LGD have the damage. They haven't really been scaling that well.
RTK, he just fought back. He cannot afford to get caught now. And LGD are going to smoke. RTK up in front, Doppelganger back from aggressive, Garter into the trees, familiars into the lane. They might reveal what's coming. XC could get caught out here. It's Q who gets scouted first. He's the gem carrier. Fissure gets dropped, looking for the retreat, but there's the Blink, the Shackle, as well as the lift. Everything for Q. And the gem will be a donation back to LGD. That was not held for very long.
And now they can sneak in a Roche.
Well, that definitely makes the buyback worth it if they get it.
Yeah, these smokes are just...
Are they not going?
I mean, maybe they're scared of...
Another Blink, maybe pressing forward, but there are a lot of PLs here. Potentially the wall gets dropped. Aggressive gonna back out. They quickly clear the illusion. Shiki from the side though, focusing on the supports. Garter charging in, backing out Shiki BKB, and he'll blink away. Heads back to the east to try and retreat maybe. Looking for the Shackle power shots one way. It is nighttime. I don't think he saw around to the trees. Another Blink from Shiki. Oh, gonna be able to dodge out. If that was daytime, that's probably a dead Queen of Pain. And now Aggressive will officially complete the hard. And KP up on the gyro, so, well, Ben, you wanted damage. They're starting to get it now.
And they have a good ward down without the gem available to CDEC. So now their ability to maneuver is just, I don't really know where they can really move around the map and catch LGD by surprise.
Let's see if our Blink Lancer has anything to say about that. For now, he's focusing on mid. The pings begin to come out. Familiars are down in the river. Roche dropping low. Do CDEC want to make their way in? They are TPing the Shaker, but it looks like it'll be a bit late to the party. No illusions there yet, and Aegis is claimed. CDEC just going to try to counter push, but they are not looking for a fight, at least not now. Aggressive does have to be a bit careful. And
yeah, now I think you just play the split push game with Phantom Lancer. The only catch that they really have is probably like Glimmer Cape into Winter's Curse.
Oh, Aggressive back to the top lane. So, like you said, split push is the way that CDEC are looking to go.
I mean, you can't fight into the Aegis at this point unless you get the perfect Echo Slam, but LGD have been very wary of leaving that opening there. So, yeah, just get Phantom Lancer to push out all the lanes and just be super annoying, always throwing down on supports. And they still don't have good clear for the illusions at all.
Is it time for Boots of Travel on the PL? Is that just the way the game's going, where he needs that extra mobility?
I think so, but once you already committed to treads, you have to, generally swap out the BOTs as your 6th item instead of your 5th.
Well, maybe,
Butterfly maybe not that great because of Gyro's MKB, but
there's Scotty is the other big one we often.
I mean, he could also just go damage and go for
like Abyssal Blade even.
Abyssal or MKB of his own if he really wants to kill the Wind Ranger.
CDEC. Are they looking for the fight here? They are charging Sylar. Aggressive, the first man in. Sylar gonna have to deploy the BKB and the cooldown. He's really committing for this, but the backup's not there yet. DDC has a blink. He drops the curse. It's on Cheeky, and Aggressive will make short work of his Queen of Pain, who has no buyback. Now he's trying to fight into the entirety of the LGD squad. They haven't even cracked the Aegis just yet. He still keeps on going, still focusing on Sylar. Now decides to run. Garner just bulldozes through, coming in fast. They'll finish off DDC. Gem hits the deck. RTK trapped off in the trees. The Aegis has been expended now. Looks like the Phantom Lancer survived and looks to turn it. Sylar, round 2, let's rumble, baby, as Aggressive runs back in, continues to commit, he'll bring down Sylar second time almost. Solar Crest, is it enough? It's not. And again, jumping forward, the bash on RTK, they're gonna get 4, as well as the Aegis. CDEC, known for their incredible fighting prowess, pull it off again. Aegis or no Aegis.
Impressive play by Aggressive. He knows that he has to, bait out a lot of the spells, get the positioning of the supports, and he goes in on the gyro. He's like, you have an Aegis? I don't really care. I don't think you can kill me. And they have so much lockdown for him, even through the BKB. And that was actually crazy how much damage Aggressive did during that fight.
I think one of the defining characteristics of this team is how willing they are to take fights that other teams wouldn't. They're just not, they don't get scared. Like, there's an Aegis there, but if they see an opportunity, they will go for it.
That was even with a pretty nice Winter's Curse. They used it on the Queen of Pain. It caught the
PL
Earthshaker.
Killed the Queen of Pain at the start of the fight. And didn't even have the buyback there, but it ends up working out quite well in the end.
But still, just not a good way to deal with this massive amount of fans.
Bottom lane, they caught out maybe with the fissure. Can they follow this up? Shiki's in position as well. The familiars go to work. There's the charge, and they are going to lose a Wind Ranger. Another big grab as CDEC sees momentum. They also took down the tier 2 while that was happening. They're right back in this game, and in fact, it seems like they're in the driver's seat.
So what do LGD have to do now? They consistently realize that, okay, Phantom Lancer, once he has illusions out, we don't want to blow our big ultimates, but people are going to die if we don't. So I don't know. I don't think that Gyrocopter is like big enough relative to the PL. You need to be like a few thousand net worth ahead just because of Flat Cannon being on a 30-second cooldown. And on top of that, he was locked in Cold Embrace and unable to really deal damage to the illusions, especially with Phantom Lancer going for this kind of anti-magic build. There's like
just the raw HP basically.
It's not gonna work. The like Splitter Shards plus Ion Shell is just not enough.
He truly is becoming anti-mage, going the anti-magic build, getting the Blink Dagger, has the Mana Burn. The illusions, this is, I mean, maybe they just should have drafted it, but it's working here for Aggressive. That's the ultimate orb now. Looks like the Scotty might be that next choice. We'll see though, some other options here if he wants to consider them. As CDEC clear out a small Ancient stack. Unfortunately for them, there is no Roche for some time, but they get the tier 2 bottom. They have fully wiped the LGD map of any towers outside the base. And LGD are not looking to leave that base anytime soon. Just 5 heroes camping out mid. Now, Ben, they are a great high ground lineup. It's very scary to push into this.
Yeah, but they also need to come outside of their base, or else Phantom Lancer's just going to overtake the gyrocopter.
He forced his way in here. He got a 2-hero fissure through the trees. The Familiar's coming in aggressive. Blinks forward with a lot of confidence. Wants to go, but they curse him. Where's the follow-up for this RTK? He gets silenced. He hasn't cast a thing. He cleanses it. Vacuum. Wall, but aggressive. Just fights his way through it. Shaky on the backline, bringing down Momoya. And now they turn back for Sylar. There's the bash. That's what the doctor orders. CDEC continue to pummel him. Sylar down again. 4 have fallen. CDEC, flawless in their execution down the stretch, are now looking to break the base. There are only 2 buybacks.
Aggressive again. Just unkillable at this point. He runs in, Gyro BKB's pause flag, and he gets solo Winter's Curse, and they're throwing everything they can at him, but can't even drop him below half in this fight.
It seems like this build just counters the combo. He's just too tanky to die to it. Aggressive now, jumping forward, driving them back. They force out the buybacks here. 2 now expended by LGD, but Aggressive says, screw it, man, they can't touch me. I'm not afraid. He'll bring down the creeps. He'll start working again on the melee racks, hacking away. The team's not even remotely close. They're gonna come back here, but they hardly need to protect their bold carry player. Again, throwing out illusions. LGD forced back more and more. There's the shackle. They're going to commit now with the call out as well. They have a good amount of firepower, but isn't enough. He's still alive. Shiki jumping forward. He gets the kill on Momoya. That's a dieback for the Rubik, and now chases for more. Aggressive is slaughtering them under the tier 4s. Keeps on going on to Arcade in the back. My God, they could use a wall, but they just don't have it. This PL won't die. He still survives through it. Finally goes down, but has the buyback ready. Doesn't have the BOT gold, but he's just going to look to run down mid and rejoin the fight as maybe. Works on Q. LGD, the lone survivor, does manage to get a kill on the Visage. Jumping forward as the Earthshaker runs up the ramp. Turns. Fissure, has he trapped him in? Looks like he has. It's the death cage for maybe. He'll fall as well. 5 dead. 2 of them diebacks. And this might be a late of Rex. Is going to be a late of Rex, looks like, if not the game.
Yep, I think that's pretty much game. And LGD thought they would be okay as long as they withstood the first couple of smokes, and I can't really fault them for that. They thought that Gyrocopter would have enough damage to deal with Phantom Lancer if he went like a normal, maybe butterfly build, I suppose, but with the heart instead of the butterfly, there is just no way they can kill him.
And that, Manta tried to dodge that shackle, does get latched by, but there's no follow back. C, blinking forward, finds the angle for the 2-hero fissure. Another easy grab. CDEC. Once they found that one good fight, they just cracked the game open like a bottle of champagne, and they simply haven't looked back. They take 1 lane of X, they look for 2. Game 1, more and more, feeling like it's theirs to lose. Aggressive, Shackle not gonna connect, they silence Maybe. He charges in, Maybe in a lot of trouble. GG! LGD get bested in the late game. CDEC again showing that miraculous poise under pressure. This team just does not falter.
I think that XZ actually played extremely well on the Earthshaker. Like his fissures, his first play with his Blink Dagger, it just completely set LGD off every single fight. They were like always 1 step behind CDEC's team fight.
Well, smiles in the booth as the Aggressive himself will stand up, has a nice sip of water. This is just business as usual for CDEC, and well, they haven't played a whole lot of LGD recently, Ben, but it looked like they had a clear game plan. They let LGD have that early game advantage, but they never looked nervous. They never forced a bad fight. They were very patient. They found the one good opportunity. From there, they were just off to the races. Impressive stuff. Well, to break it down more, I believe we're going to hand it back to the panel, see what Red Eye and the analysts have to say.
Thank you very much, LD, down in the commentary area. And yes, we are back at the panel right now, where 2 of us are very happy, at least. And 2 have got some explaining to do. Jacob, Purge?
Jacob, do you want me to handle this?
Go ahead.
They almost won. It was looking really good for them, and then it turned out that PL was not very countered by the draft that LGD went for. But I genuinely believe that LGD was outperforming for the first 30 or so minutes. For example, I really like Shiki's item adjustment rather than the typical rush your ags on Wind Ranger. He went point booster into blink, and then he got a lot done, and normally we don't feel that much pressure from a Wind Ranger in the early game. So they did a lot of stuff like that. They had a lot of great fights, but then at some point, man, you just can't kill the PL.
At some point.
I just want to say, I think I'm generally not very confident if I say someone is the best player on a specific hero in the world, but Aggressive is unbelievable on Phantom Lancer. I don't think anyone even... No one comes close to him even, I want to say, which I think is very unique nowadays. If you go back some years in Dota history, a lot of players had like their primes were on this or these two or these three heroes, they were just better than everyone else. For me, that's aggressive on PL.
So basically, Valve need to nerf aggressive.
Yeah, or just remove PL from the game when you do it. In addition to that, of course, like they pointed out, I think the Earthshaker by XC was incredible. And Garter, with very few tools at his disposal, did a lot on Spirit Breaker. Like every single fight, they would flank out 2 or 3 heroes with Fissure and Charge, and that's why Aggressive got to shine as much as he could in that game on the PL. So great strategy.
Slightly different kind of tactic, I suppose. Well, not a tactic, but style of play from CDEC. We're used to seeing them rushing in and all this crazy Dota going on. This was much more passive, clever, smart, patient kind of play.
We're used to seeing clever and smart play.
Dare I say boring at times, but very effective.
Each to their own. I think they did what needed to be done. I think they felt comfortable that they had the late game and that they shouldn't just overcommit or anything. At one point, it was 8-8 in kills, and I think CDEC was actually very happy with how the game went up until that point. And then, as Bert was saying, it looked as if LGD had a slight room for winning and maybe even closing the game out, and then too much time passed by, and then, you know, when there's a diffuser blade up on the Phantom Lancer and he has sufficient levels, he will just take down every target in a matter of seconds.
Even about that though, I feel like CDEC didn't have the perfect early game. That double ward block on the safe lane completely killed their momentum from both Spirit Breaker and from the Visage. It was like 8-9 minutes and Visage was still level 4. And that's a hero that you want to get 6 on as fast as possible, and they didn't really have as many traditional shifted junglers, for example, to just give somebody a safe lane. It just really gimped their supports. And normally we see Q giving himself like 3 position-ish farm coming from a 4 position. And that just never happened. He was forced to go Arcane's mech and just kind of sit behind his team, do standard things. So I really feel like LGD did what they needed to get ahead, but they just didn't quite close it out early enough.
Not going to be too worried about that first game, are they? I mean, they both know each other really well. They know how they play. It did seem...
I'm not sure if the style was that different. I just really feel like PL was the perfect pick there, and it really countered what LGD drafted, and LGD played really good, but they just couldn't pull it out when he was that tanky.
What changes would you like to see from LGD?
I think if you're LGD right now, you're questioning how are we going to beat CDEC just because they picked what LGD probably expected them to pick. It's still within all the specters of what kind of heroes they want. So they're probably scratching their head a bit in terms of strategy, and I think they should just apply more pressure early on.
Okay, and from CDEC's point of view, couldn't have got...
They didn't only lose the early game because LGD played it great. I think CDEC also made a couple of mistakes. You see a Fissure early that fails, and then Spirit Breaker is just, what did LD say? He got sacrificed on Siler's altar or something, it's like a ritual under his tower. There were a couple of misplays here and there. They can obviously optimize, but overall, I would agree. They should be very satisfied. I don't think they need to make major adjustments for the next game.
Okay. Are we expecting any specific bans aimed at any particular player because of what we've seen in Game 1?
I think the Shadow Fiend again. It's probably safe to say it's out. It's not a hero that Shiki is comfortable playing, and it's something that maybe really likes playing, so I doubt that'll go through. Doombringer, I don't expect to go through either. Slaughter, I fully expect to go through the entire way. And I suppose Tusk is probably banned as well.
Okay, got some highlights from Game 1. This is a quick reminder for you as well. It is a best of 3. It is an upper bracket game.